In this tutorial, I want to show you how to detect motion on your Arlo Security Camera and to turn a light on and off if motion is active. In order for you to configure this automation, you will need to set up a few integrations in Home Assistant. The first integration is the Arlo Camera Support integration. It is a custom integration in Home Assistant. I will be putting the link in the description for you to download and configure this integration. While setting up this integration, you also want to make sure that your Arlo security cameras are working as expected outside of Home Assistant. Additionally, you want to make sure that your Arlo security cameras are working as expected in Home Assistant. To ensure that your Arlo security camera is working as expected in Home Assistant, go to the Developer Tools and browse the different state for the camera motion sensor. Mine is shown as off because there isn't any motion detected on my front door camera. I'm using AppDeamon to code this automation, which means you will need to install and configure the AppDeamon integration in Home Assistant. I will also be putting a link in the description for you to download and configure the AppDeamon integration. AppDeamon is based on Python. I will be sharing the complete code with you at the end of this tutorial. Once you've successfully configured the Arlo Camera Support integration in AppDeamon, you are ready to start coding the automation. The first thing we need to do is to register an AppDeamon automation app in Home Assistant. I recommend that you watch this tutorial where I covered how to register an AppDeamon app in Home Assistant. I will be putting the link in the description for your reference. My apps.yaml file looks like this. I've named my app Arlo Motion. And my module Arlo_motion. In my class, I've also named it Arlo Motion, but without an underscore. At minimum, those are the 3 lines required to register an AppDeamon app in Home Assistant. Now that we've registered our AppDeamon app in Home Assistant, we are now ready to code the logic for our automation. First, I will be importing the AppDeamon library into my app. The code to import the AppDeamon library is this. Next, I will be creating a subclass of the AppDeamon library, which I just imported. The code to create my subclass is this. I've named my class Arlo Motion without the underscore. This is the way it is currently represented in my apps.yaml file. After creating my subclass, I need to initialize the class. The code to initialize my AppDeamon automation is this. I'm calling the initialize method, which will be the first code that gets run when my automation is activated. My app has been initialized. The next thing I need to do is to create a trigger for my automation. To create a trigger in Home Assistant using AppDeamon, I need to call a listener method. The code to create a listener method is this. Self.listen_state is the listener method which I'm calling from the AppDeamon main library. Self.onMotionDetected is my callback method. This callback method will contain the logic of my automation. I will be creating that soon. The camera whose motion I want to monitor is my front door camera. My camera motion sensor is named Arlo Motion Front Door. Notice the double A in Arlo. The name for the sensor was generated by the Arlo Camera Support integration. This is the preferred way to name the sensor. And finally, I'm interested in monitoring the state of the motion sensor. And I'm interested for when its state changes to on. My listener method has been created. I now need to create the callback method. The code to create the callback method is this. As you've observed in the listener method, I've named my callback method on motion detected. The callback method has multiple parameters. Self, entity, attribute, old, new, and quirks. For this automation, we will only be using the new parameter. I now need to create a conditional statement to check when motion has been detected on the camera. If new equals on, indicates that motion has been detected. For this automation, if motion has been detected on the camera, I want to turn the front door light on. The code to turn the front door light on is this. Self.turn_on is an AppDeamon method to turn an entity on and off in Home Assistant. The entity I would like to turn on is my front door light. I also want to create another conditional statement, but this time to check when motion is inactive on the camera. The code to create this conditional statement is the same as above, except that this time I'm checking if new equals off, which indicates that motion is inactive on the camera. If new equals off, motion is inactive. I want to turn the front door light off. The code to turn the front door light off is this. Here, I'm calling the turned_off method. And the entity I want to turn off is my front door light. This completes the automation. But before we can test it, we need to make sure that our app runs without any errors. To test whether the app can run without any errors, I need to check the AppDeamon log. The last line in my AppDeamon log indicates that my app has been initialized. To test whether your automation is working as expected, activate motion on your Arlo Security Camera. If motion is detected, the light should turn on, and when motion becomes inactive, the light should turn off. I hope you found this tutorial to be helpful. Please consider subscribing to the channel to help it grow. As we say on the Motion Detected channel, smarter automations, one motion at a time.